And here with me today we have Sean Smith. Thank you for joining us today.
Thank you.
You are running in the election for state's attorney, correct?
Correct, in the Republican primary.
Okay. So what would you say is a couple of your top priorities that you're supporting?
Well, one would be restoring some fiscal responsibility to the office. My opponent has been in office just over a year, and in that short span, managed to blow the office's budget. So, somebody with some understanding of how to run an office and the financial responsibilities that go with that, I think that's an important issue that would require some immediate attention. Another issue would be communication. There's been a breakdown in some cases and utter lack of communication between the incumbent and other officials, be they within the courthouse, with law enforcement agencies, and the public in general. These are trying times. For those who spend a lot of time in DeKalb and around the campus, it's not a well-kept secret that there are problems. And the only way to address those problems and try to tackle them is to communicate.
So what do you think are some of the main problems that DeKalb County is experiencing right now? Since we're on NIU's campus, mainly, what do you think are some problems that need to be fixed on the campus at all?
Well, I think the attitude and environment has to be addressed. There seems to be a level of tolerance at certain levels for the crime that exists. And there has to be, again, through communication, a concerted effort and a consistent message that that's not acceptable and it won't be tolerated. And everybody, not just within the campus community, but beyond, is working together to change that for the better. It's not a well-kept secret, the problems that exist, be it violent crime, drugs, gangs, and all sorts of other property crimes that go on a daily basis. The DeKalb Police Department is taxed to its limits. The NIU Police Department is stressed with its resources. I think the county collectively has a lot of the resources needed. In some departments, some police departments, and I include the Sheriff's Department among those, there are resources that can be shared with the level of cooperation between and among departments. So we're all faced with stretched and limited resources. Effective communication, there has to be leadership. Somebody has to take the lead. The state's attorney is uniquely positioned in that the state's attorney's office is responsible for prosecuting all crimes throughout the county, all municipalities, unincorporated county areas, and NIU's campus. Everybody has their jurisdiction that's limited. But the state's attorney deals with each of those jurisdictions and prosecutes cases on behalf of all of them. So the state's attorney is in a unique position to be the organizer and coordinator of those efforts and to make sure there's a dialogue among and between various departments to work more cooperatively.
better, I guess, is the correct word to use here.
It's really pretty basic. You pick up the phone,
Yeah.
you call one of the chiefs and say, what do you need? What are you lacking? Then you call the other chiefs and say, what do you have? What do you need? What can you spare if called upon to contribute to another department? And just have a concerted effort to get the resources where they are and utilize them in other locations as needed. So just a simple phone call
Yeah.
to each of those, and then probably get everybody in a room together
Yeah.
and say, all right, guys, let's work out our problems and find ways to help one another do what needs to be done.
So do you think that, not just on NIU's campus, but in DeKalb County in general, that there is a lack of, I guess, not communication? Do you think that there is a secrecy problem with the crime that has been going on in DeKalb? Do you think that they're trying to keep it under wraps, or do you think they're just trying to ignore it?
You use the word secrecy. That raises all sorts of connotations. I don't know that I would use that word. I'm sure there's a reluctance to advertise the problems. But all that aside, the problems are serious. And they're not going to correct themselves. And it's going to require effort on behalf of the university administration, university police, and all the other law enforcement agencies, because it tends to spider web out from the nucleus, and everybody is impacted. So everybody's going to have to become part of the solution.
Okay, so why do you think, either as students or just the community in general, why do you think that we should elect you instead of re-electing him in this term?
That's a fair question. I'm not running because I need a job. I am a citizen of the county. I'm a taxpayer. I happen to be an attorney and qualified to hold the position. My impetus for joining the race was not because I needed the job. My primary motivator is, like a lot of citizens and voters these days, frustration. I had supported my opponent in the past. It suffices to say I am sadly disappointed, sorely disappointed in his performance in the year that he's been in office. There's a lack of leadership. There's a obvious lack of management skills. There's a lack of budgetary understanding and responsibility. And I think a fundamental lack of understanding of the role of the state's attorney. Sitting as an attorney, watching it unfold as a taxpayer, it's unacceptable to me. So, at a time when there are a lot of people frustrated with politics and how local, county, state, federal government is operating, I made a decision that I could sit on my couch and scream at my television, or I could do something at least that I was qualified to do and was in a position to do. So with a lot of encouragement from other people who share my frustration, I decided that I would run. And here we are.
So what skills do you think that you are going, let me rephrase that, what skills are you going to bring to the table to encourage people to vote for you instead of Clay Campbell?
The skills that I just mentioned that are, I think, important to
Yeah.
the office. You have to be able to lead.
Mhm.
The state's attorney's office is the largest law office in the county.
Mhm.
You know, I think presently 12 assistant state's attorneys.
Mhm.
So with this elected state's attorney, that's 13 lawyers and a staff of about 8 people. People ask me, why are you doing this? You know,
Yeah.
why would you give up your gig? And because I think I have a duty to do it. If not me, who's gonna? Yeah. So I can complain,
Yeah.
or I can do something. So I chose to do something.
Well, thank you for doing something for us. I think that's all the time that we have for right now, but I would really like to thank our guest, Sean Smith, for coming in and talking to us today. Thank you. This really meant a lot. So this has been another Political Race Moment. I'm Megan Safely. Have a great day.